Damn, I always wonder if I figured this shit out right. Did you make this special trip up here to get that ladder? Well, thank you for not doing it last night when I asked you to. What's that? Hey, I haven't forgot to make this mortgage payment, and one of the mistakes you made was leaving that paycheck stub on the counter over there, so we're probably going to be talking about a little bit of an increase here pretty soon. I didn't go through it. It's laying right there on the counter. Anyway, your mom already told me. Anyway, hey, you got to be a baller sometimes. Hey, I appreciate having a kid I don't have to worry about. So thank you so much. Slime Pack, boy, that last video was fire. Talking about them cameras. I was about to call you after that one. All right. Bal, I don't know the last name. What's up, Frank? What's up? So anyway, this video is a little bit of a retort. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw the video that was posted by my man Eric over at Driveline, calling me a magical wanderer or whatever he was calling me for when he was talking about his truck stop wars and stuff like that. So I just want to talk about my philosophy when it comes to driving trucks or parking, fueling, all that. Now this kind of just applies to prime drivers, part of it, but the rest of it is just the overall, just kind of an overall way in which I look at fueling. Now, first of all, so if we're going to talk about the three, majors, you got Pilot, Flying J, TA Petro, and Love's. Now, at Prime, we already automatically got the free showers, free refills, and the 4 points fueling at Love's. Now, in some of my previous videos, I'd mentioned that TA Petro gives you 3 points, plus you get ultra credits, which could be used for fueling, parking, or a meal. Now, since then, if you watch Misfit Flatbedder, she messaged me a screenshot saying it's 4 points. So if at TA Petro you're making 4 points per, for fueling up per gallon, plus you're getting the ultra credits, and the ultra credit could be used for food up to $17.50. That's a no-brainer right there. What's up, O'Brien and Sons? So here's my philosophy when it comes to truck stops, truck parking, all that kind of stuff. In one of his comments, he was talking about how bad the showers are and all this kind of stuff. First of all, there's some bad TAs and Petros out there. I'm going to give you guys that. As far as fueling goes, that's my preferred fueling network. Now, I don't always take showers and TAs and Petros. As a matter of fact, most of my showers are done at Love's because usually I'm using my ultra credits at TA Petro to get that free food. Now, all right, let's see. I like TA Petro a lot. Here's one thing I will say about TA Petro. You're usually going to find a spot there, okay? You're usually going to find a spot. There are very few times in the middle of the night when I'm going to bring that up later if I remember. But one good thing about TA Petro is you're usually going to find a spot. Whether you choose to pay for that spot or not, if you're up in the Northeast, stuff like that, you better pay for it. But you're usually going to find a spot just because they're so big, most of them. A lot of Loves, you can get locked into Loves a lot of time. But here's my thing. Okay, so when it comes to fueling, I prefer, if I had to give it a split, I would say I do 60% of my fueling at TA Petro, 40% at Loves. And my rationale behind that, first of all, is I think the credits are so much better, whether it be points or credits or whatever. But if I already got the free refills, and I got the free showers at Love's. Why not open it up and get some free showers and parking and all that somewhere, and the food mainly somewhere else? So that's one of the reasons I do it. Another thing is, and I might be a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but it seems like, let's say that my fuel's like averaging like 10 and a half miles a gallon or 10 or whatever it is. And then I go to Love's, that shit like immediately drops. Or the opposite direction. If I'm getting low fuel economy, then I go to TA Petro and it just jumps up. That could just be, that could be a conspiracy. But that's one thing that I've kind of noticed. So in his video, when he was talking about, I like to know where everything is and all this kind of stuff, and I don't go in there and eat and all this kind of stuff, I'm going to talk about the bonuses for each of these truck stops. The best TAs and Petros are going to kill the best Loves, Flying J, whatever. There's not even a comparison. Like, I could think of a couple off the top of my head, but if you've been out there stopping at them, you could be talking about the Petro in Arvin at the bottom of the Grapevine in California. You could be talking about the TA or Petro or whatever it is out in Colby, Kansas. You could be talking about there's like a whole glass Petro TA. I forget what state it's in. It's somewhere in the Northeast or Northwest. The one in off of I-55 in the Chicago area, that one will kill any Loves out there. Now, some of the problem with that is the parking so far away that sometimes you may not want to take advantage of some of that stuff. But when I'm talking about I don't really like Loves, it's not a parking thing or anything like that, because I'll choose to park at Loves a lot of times. A lot of times it's just so, like I said, it's like a 40 degree. There ain't nothing special about a 40 degree day. Ain't nobody got nothing good or bad to say about a 40 degree day. But if you hit that right, Spokane, yeah, that's a good one too. Trucking Unfiltered, yeah, just watch one of your videos about I think it was a breakdown or something like that. So anyway, really doesn't matter, okay? I fuel at the TA Petros to get the points and then to get mainly that $17.50 food or meal credit. I don't necessarily park. I prefer not to park at any Loves, Petro, Pilot, any of that. Usually if it's up to me and I have somewhere to park, it's gonna be at an off-brand place. More so in the summer than in the winter. A lot of the places I like to stop in the summer, in the winter, if it starts snowing and stuff like that, you ain't getting no plowing out there. So a lot of times I'll ease up on that a little bit. But think about the off-brand places that are like excellent. You seen those Compass truck stops? There's one like on I-65 on the way up to like Chicago, and I think it's in Ohio or Indiana. It might be in Indiana. That place is awesome. You got all these Trex places that are off like I-29 and Missouri and Kansas and all that. I think it's Missouri more so than Kansas. You got like the place in Oklahoma that has the drive-through. Sonic, I've never gone through there, but just the fact that they have it. In Texas, there's just like a ton of them. But Rusty, even for a carnivore diet type of situation, you can get all that stuff there. I'm telling you, it's like great. So I don't necessarily park there. Park at like a TA Petro, and a lot of times that might be my last resort, or it might be where I plan on ending up parking. But usually I'm not looking for the main players. I'm not trying to get blocked in. Loves will block you in like in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? People park, and I don't get it. I do not get the fascination with Loves. Like, you'll see people stacked up, blocking people, all this kind of stuff at a Loves, and you go right across the street to like it could even be like not even a main, it won't even be like a really mom and pop off-brand place. It could be like a fuck, what am I trying to say? It could be like a Speedway or something something that's not like super mom and pop, but kind of off the grid a little bit. Petro, yeah, the bowling alley. I keep telling people about that one. So anyway, make a long story short, my parking is usually not going to be at any of the major places unless that makes sense for me. Now, a lot of times I will. Let's say my clock is short and I end up somewhere, then that could be wherever it is. Or I'll stop at a Love's because we do get the free coffee in the morning. And one thing I will give you, but they're starting to change it at some of their places. The coffee at TA Petro is like horrible. So a lot of times I'll stop at a Love's, and then what I'll do is either in the morning, either at night, if I got to fuel at night, I'll do a fuel and a pre-trip inspection at the same time there to save me some time on my clock, or I'll do it in the morning, and then I got the free coffee, all that kind of stuff. Let's see. The Pilot next to the Love's 213 has plenty of spots last night. Love's was completely packed. Yeah. Now, one good thing about Love's, now, listen, I'm not hating on Love's as much as Slime Pack thinks I crack on her about it. Those few Loves that got naffs, that's the best shit out there. Like, I'll stop short 100 miles to stop at a naff. So that they definitely got that going for them. So, yep, there you go. I saw your post, or I saw your message last night. That was pretty hilarious, my comeback on that. So anyway, Pilot, Flying J, those have got to be some of the worst parking situations that I've seen out there. If you go to, I refuse to park in Franklin, Ohio at that Petro there. You're just asking somebody to get your tear off even pulling out. That's probably the tightest place I've ever seen. Franklin, Ohio. If you see it, don't park there. Even paid parking spots. Denver, Colorado, the Flying J there will not park there. And, there is some issues with parking at TA Petro. A lot of times those angled parking spots, if you're having to blindside angle back into one of those spots and it's like at the end of your shift, sometimes that's a hard time. And sometimes the people that are parked in front of that spot aren't backed up as far as they should be, making your experience even harder. But, let's see. Prime pays like garbage. You know what? I'm going to tell you what. That paid off truck makes those settlements look a whole lot better. I only did $2,000 last week because I only did one load before I came home. And that check was still $1,100 in my emergency fund and $196 to my bank. So we're talking 11, 12, 1260. We're talking. And I had I was full of fuel when I went home. So if you really want to talk about it like that, I have however much fuel you want to say in the fuel tank. Let's even just say $1 a gallon. Let's say $200 or $2 a gallon. I have $200 worth of fuel, or no, $400 worth of fuel in my tank. Plus I made $1,100 in my emergency fund, plus $163. I don't know. I think I'm sitting pretty well. But hey, as far as the money goes, there's always going to be somebody that pays better. But if you're always chasing money, you're never going to be able to run fast enough. At some point, you got to figure out what's most important to you. Money's not always going to be the thing. My bank account could pay the garbage men thanks to Prime. Slime Pack, man, that video, I need to talk to you about some of that stuff. Not necessarily the fact that you were talking about leaving, but some of the other goals you were talking about. In case that comes back to your head, we got to talk about that one. Intermodal is better. You know, a lot of this stuff depends on where you're at, especially the jobs. The job that you choose, whether it be flatbed, tanker, or any of those things. A lot of stuff depends on where you're at. You know, a lot of people are leaving to go to Walmart, and I think Walmart is an excellent opportunity if you're in the right area. I don't see Walmart in Colorado being a place that I want to pull. But for people that live in Texas or, you know, some of these other places, it's a great place. Blue 94, buying this truck payment $678. That's a good payment. Now, the only thing I'd say about that is paying that truck off fast. And that's the one thing that Prime does. You know, I'm not talking about regular leases. I haven't been in a regular lease so long, I can't even speak on it too much. But paying them trucks off in 3 years is definitely a win. So anyway, my favorite truck stops stop at are definitely not going to be the ones that as a matter of fact, if I see a Prime truck at some of the places that I park at, it's like unexpected because I'm at places where a lot of people aren't going to be at. I'll be at like the Circle K's and the Shells, Valeros, Hutches. All right. Say hi to Garth Madsen for me. He trains out of Salt Lake City for Prime. You know, he was a little bit after my time, but I did my training out in Salt Lake City. Rusty man out there running out in Salt Lake City. Hey, hope that gamble pays well for you. Because, man, the weather can turn out there real quick or turn the wrong way really quick. Now, I did a video a while back. Mason. Somebody said that I was disrespecting my son or something like that, and I want to thank you for that. Mason, come here.
What?
Just come here real quick. First of all, because you're walking around in the house, you're not... So you don't got to get in the video or nothing. So somebody said that I was disrespecting my son.
No, it was the other way around.
Or my son was No, it wasn't the other way around. Whatever it was. One of us was disrespecting one of us. And he felt so bad, he went out and bought an $80 bottle of bourbon for me. So
the first bottle was $90.
So whoever made that the first bottle was actually $45 because you didn't give me shit the last time I came home.
That was trying to get you the nice.
Mason, you're making $1,000 a week to learn a fucking job. So
I'm also working said job.
You're right. Hey, Mason, you're making more money than your mom, and you're paying like I'm just saying. It's here's what I want to do. I don't want you to have payment shock when you get out on your own. I don't want you to go from $500, which I thought was low, to $1,500 or $2,000. Okay. So I might raise it just so you're accustomed to the change. All right.
You specifically got small dogs to tone down.
There you go. All right. So let's see. Rusty, I'm telling you, you can change your mind. I know you got a few things up in the air out there, but it's in your case, it's not even a $14,000 gamble. It's like a $10,000 gamble for you to, you pay $10,000 and things go the wrong way. Then you just turn in the truck if it's before 3 years. I'm telling you. Doing a lease, I have only 2 years to pay off, $678 a week. That's good. Weird. My name is Gar2. Leave that kid, Tim, or Terry, should I say. Here's one thing I will say about my kid is I kept a firm foot in his ass when he was growing up. Even in you know, I never, I just wanted him to be well rounded. So even in summer, I would have him write a 1 page like essay on. I'd leave and go to work and say, you know what, I want a 1 page essay on Amelia Earhart. I want a 1 page essay on Malcolm X, or Benjamin Banneker, whoever it would be. And it would be across a whole different, it could be George Washington, it could be whoever. But it was just to expand his mind a little bit out there, and to keep him from all the fuckery as much as I could. But and I told him not to just plagiarize, but it really didn't matter. As long as he had to read something and write something down, I felt he was getting the experience I wanted out of it. All right, Sanders refrigerated, bought a Prime Ink reefer, best program out. I hear you. Brand new wheels, new walls. My roof was messed up, so new roof for free. Good to go. Vacuum seal your food to avoid truck stop food. Man, I got like 3 vacuum sealers here from when I was doing cooking videos that people sent me for free just to do videos on. And the problem is, once you break the seal, unless you got the vacuum sealer on the truck, you got to vacuum seal it again. And I'm not going through all that stuff. I'll take a little bit of freezer burn or whatever, but I do agree. As a matter of fact, I might be giving away vacuum sealers at some point because we're really not using them around here. Bow Mason run. Yeah, you better run for this new pay increase or this new rent increase. Let me go back through these comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. They did try to gank me yesterday. I was on the Prime app looking at my projected time to get back out on the road, and I'd already told them 2:22, and I got on there and it looked like it was 2:12, and I was like, hey, you might want to change that back because I'm not going to be ready. Petros Rock Nation, has Trump improved the gas prices yet? The gas prices were already on their way down. I don't know if they've changed or not changed, but one thing about rolling with Prime is the higher the fuel prices go, the more money we make on fuel surcharge. As long as you run over 7.5 miles a gallon, you're making money on that. So that if you ever hear anybody at Prime bitching about that, they don't know what they're talking about. They're very uneducated. Now that may affect things at the house or something like that. But in terms of trucking, no. The higher the fuel price, the better we got. So, and again, I'm from the thing that you're never going to hear me give credit, blame, whatever, to who's in office, who's coming, none of that stuff. It's all on me. There you go. Off topic, but are you making money with YouTube? If I cranked up my cooking channel again, which I probably should do because I've been looking at the views that channel's getting, and I'm not monetized on that because I haven't made a video out there before. But when I got into trucking, averaged out over 12 months, I was probably doing about $3,200 a month on the cooking channel. No Instagram, no Facebook, no TikTok. That was just cooking channel videos. Between October and December, I was probably making, that's where the bulk of my money came from because I am the turkey master. I can cook a Thanksgiving turkey, whether it be baked, smoked, grilled, however you want to do it. So those videos were pulling in, I probably got a turkey video out there with 4 million, 5 million views possibly. So on the cooking shit, no, or on the trucking shit, it's like $100 a month. It's not that big of a deal. Shamarcus, that steak video was an old video that I did on my cooking channel that I just had on my laptop, and I was like, let me just throw this up real quick. So that video is probably 6 years old. But when I started cooking, it wasn't even for the money. It was just, Now, people like Slime Pack, you want to listen, I'm not going to talk about her money. I could just talk about the views I see. Because cooking videos, you can't make as much money per cooking video as like some of these other videos, because you can't be doing a cooking video and then in the middle of the cooking video have an ad pop up, right? So if you're doing like videos like trucking and shit like that, you can possibly get away with that. So you might be making double the amount of money on a trucking video as you would on a cooking video. So Slime Pack is definitely killing it. I mean, killing it enough to where I know she did a video where she was talking about her long-term views, or, her long-term situation at Prime. That's one thing to think about is, is leaving Prime going to lessen that impact on the views and stuff? Sometimes it's just good to stay stable because the real money ain't coming from the trucking. My daughter, she's trying to get into YouTube, and my daughter went from she was probably the most, I don't know what word to classify it as. Popular is not the right word, but I guess popular is the word to use. But she went from that to like the oldest fucking almost 30-year-old out there crocheting and doing all this knit work and all this kind of stuff. And she wants to do a video based on that, or she wants to start a channel based on that. And I need her to talk to Slime Pack. It would be much easier than trucking videos, but she's always been one of those people that's like always has the greatest ideas, but she's not okay. Slime Pack, your thing right there doesn't say Facebook pays 10 times more than Facebook, so can you clear that one up? But it's just getting these motherfuckers to start. You know what I mean? Just start the process. Crafting channel, she could do all that. I mean, she is an excellent painter. For those of you guys didn't see, some of this stuff you guys won't appreciate, because some people won't appreciate abstract type of stuff, but she does all this shit. Hold on, let's go take a look. Now, some people won't appreciate this, but this was made out of tissue paper right here. Hold on, let me turn this shit around. This was just like, it's kind of abstract, whatever, but I mean, that's it. That's really not that impressive. You might be like, oh, that's not impressive, wow. But this painting right here, that almost looks exactly like her. You know what I mean? So she's got art skills, right? Whoa. All right, so you're Slime Pack, you're saying Facebook pays 10 times more than Facebook. Or no, wait. Facebook pays 10 times more than YouTube? All right, so Shamarcus is talking about the referrals. I really haven't got into the referral space all that much. I mean, I've made money on referrals. As a matter of fact, I just had somebody come in. God damn it. But I felt part of things with referrals. Hey, Tim, by the way, no hippie truck and transportation repping Tim Travels out here. I never wanted. I always wanted to keep it somewhat real. You know what I'm saying? So I never really promoted the referrals all that much. Now that's like I said, that's not saying that they haven't came, but it's been a little bit more organic in that usually somebody that has used me as a referral has like had some kind of contact with me. So it's like something more than just they used my code. Now there are some of those, but for the most part it's been we spoke, we've had a chance to talk about it. I've either walked them through the process, stuff like that. It's just not like a, just like a, but like I said, I haven't promoted it. Now some people have said that that I'm a referral channel or things like that, and I've always said go through any of my videos. Anybody that outside of joking around about it, if anybody can go to any of my videos and say that I've ever said this is my referral code. Now I've had it in the comment section, but to where I've actually like verbally like done that shit, it's $100. See, for some reason I'm not getting all the comments here. All right, let's see. Yeah, Jasmine, I'm gonna be calling you pretty soon. I don't know what your work hours are or not. I'll probably text you before I call to see if you're available for conversation. But that last video brought up, made me think a bit about things. And listen, Shamarcus, there are people that have made way over $60,000 on referrals. I mean, there's a ton of people. And I'm going to say a lot of those people actually put in the work. And if somebody uses me as a referral, they're coming knowing everything. Or not knowing everything as far as the job, but they're coming knowing, because I'm not shy about saying what I feel is room for improvement at the company. And I think that when you do that, I think a lot of times people in upper management at Prime might look at that as a bad thing. But I think that in the long run, I think people respect honesty and they understand that this isn't when you hear people at the meeting say Prime's not a perfect company and we're transparent, that's a little bit different because they're not saying what their downfalls are or things like that. And when you have drivers and there's multiple, there's a number of us drivers that do that say here's the issues with Prime, but it's still good. Here's what I'm doing. Like I say, I am more loyal to the Marine Corps than I am Prime, and I got a lot more shit to talk about the Marines than I do Prime. So just because somebody says something negative doesn't mean that they don't love it. Your pleasure. What's up?
That explains all the head jokes.
And again, Prime wants to talk about the culture at Prime and say that the culture is, a couple meetings ago, they were talking about the culture and how the culture was like the most important thing. And I will agree with that. I just think that the culture, if any, that there is at Prime is done in spite of some of the stuff that's done in-house. And again, that's not a bad thing. Think about the Marine Corps. Some of the most bullshit you will ever go through in your life is going to be done in the Marine Corps. But if you think about the culture doesn't come from the top down. It comes from the middle down. And that culture in the Marine Corps, through all the bullshit that goes on, is it's definitely stronger than any other branch of the military. That's without saying. But it's a culture that think about me. I'm just going to talk about me. I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't think about my birthday, any of that stuff. My wife doesn't even like thank me or say anything on my birthday. But when the Marine Corps birthday comes around, she's on it. You know what I mean? So that's a culture. Saying you got culture and actually having culture, two totally different things. So you can have things wrong with your company and still have a great culture. But just because you say you got culture doesn't mean you got it. And that's something that's going to have to come from the driver level up. It can't be just, it can't, or it could come from the top down, but it can't come from, how can I explain it? I can't explain it. You guys at Prime know exactly what I'm talking about. What's up, Lyle? How did the windows come out? Johnny B said, the windows look great. It's too cold to do some of the painting because they had to pull out some boards and they put some new boards in there and got them all sealed up and everything. But, you know, the majority of my house is white and the boards they put back in are tan. So they're going to need to get painted again at some point. I was probably going to be painting the house anyway this summer, which is one of the things I need to put money into here. But as far as the quality, excellent. Hey, now I'm not treading on anybody's toes, but as soon as I saw a full crew of Hispanics rolling up here, everything, like, my mind was put at ease because I know they were putting in that work.
That's funny. Fucked up a little bit.
Where's that?
Well, in my construction field, when something like that happens, the safety guy gets nervous.
When what happens?
You said it, not me.
What?
What'd you just say?
Hispanics?
Whole crew were rolling up.
Oh shit!
As
a matter of fact, listen.
I said the safety guys.
Forget the safety. I'm talking about the actual quality of the work. If there's,
I know, but this, like I said though, safety. Like I work out at DIA. The general contractor security guy gets nervous. DIA gets nervous. That's why they all roll up at the same time.
All right, Petro Rocks Nation. No way you were in the Marines. Did you get a medical retirement? I hear lots of vets get that. I got out of the Marines in 1991. No, I didn't get a medical, but I was in with a lot of people that did. And if I'd have... Listen, I'm not one to be trying to get no free money or do anything like that. I could have probably got it, but that wasn't anything I was like really looking to do. Shamarcus, Eric said that he thinks the culture is recovering a little bit. I'm going to actually say that I think the culture's recovering as well, but it's not. It's in spite of. Mason, do me a favor. Can you give me another cup of coffee? Can you make another cup of coffee for me? Sure. Here's the cup. But I don't want none of that bullshit, like your mom's hazelnut bullshit.
Okay. I think it's funny you're using that cup of all cups.
Rinse that out before you put that in there. And then just like the Kona coffee or some black shit. But yeah, I do think that the culture's recovering at Prime, and I think it's from the bottom up, you know. It's conversations that, you know, everybody has these conversations, but conversations me and you are having, or me calling up Slime Pack, or not to, a lot of it is from like, well, I'm not even gonna say that, but it'd be like me calling Slime Pack or Driveline or whoever and building those relationships, you know, Million Mile Man or whoever. A lot of that's coming from that level, and it's not because I think a lot of things that Prime had done over the last few years has actually deteriorated the culture. Whether they say they were paying money for unlocked trailers and all this kind of stuff doesn't matter. It's just the fact that was the perception. So, as soon as you have drivers turning on drivers, I mean, even if you look at just the Facebook shit, that is probably going to be the thing that keeps the culture down a little bit. is everything is so like if you go on some of these prime groups, we're a trucking group, right? And 70% of the posts are about politics. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to post it on your regular shit, that's one thing. But anybody that knows me, and there's a lot of people in here that have totally different political views than I do, and I've never like said, you know what, I'm not going to be friends with that person because they're, you know, they're of this political persuasion or that political, you know, whatever. I just won't do that because when it comes down to it, you're either a good person or you're not. Now, our beliefs may not sync up or whatever, but you know, I think that's going to be kind of one of the holdbacks. And as a matter of fact, there was, man, I forget. I wanted to think about this now that it's on the top of my head. There was somebody that turned down business because, or they refused to use a shop or something because of what the owner was as far as politics and shit like that goes. That is the dumbest shit in the world. I just don't get it. So, oh, Johnny B must be talking about the videos played in the meeting at Prime. That's another thing that I don't think that I would do if I was Prime. I don't care if it's a training video or it's I don't care if it's a training video or what it is, but showing a driver in a situation like that to make a point, I think is I think it's bad work. I think it's like it's not good. So I don't agree with showing those videos in the meeting. Million Mile Man, that's my man right there. Give me a little something stronger over there. Why don't you give me the one that you bought me? Million Mile Man. A lot of people are talking about Prime Inc. drivers not getting titles and paying off trucks. Well, Million Mile Man and his brother are going to be some of the newest additions. He's already paid off one truck, but some of the newest additions, I think, you know, he did sell that truck and everything. But going to be another addition to the paid off truck club over at Prime. So people say that that's a myth or whatever. Million Mile Man is somebody that can attest to that not necessarily being the case. Jesus Christ, that is like, Mason, when you're pouring a whiskey, it's like this little bit right here. It's not like this is like, literally, this is like a day's worth of whiskey. That's a lot.
Saving you a trip.
Well, you're saving me a bunch of trips.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Being powerful like that.
Hey, send another comment there, Million Mile Man. Tell us what it's like. I think he has his $100 balloon payment to pay, and then he is done with that truck. And I'm telling you, hey, Million Mile Man, I don't know if you were here earlier. I came home off of home time, or I came home to home time. I only had 2,000. As a matter of fact, let's take a look. I only had, let me take a look. Loads. History. Okay. My only load for the week was $2,012. I filled up my truck before I got home because I like to come off of home time with a full tank of fuel or close to it. My check was still, I had $1,100 going to my emergency fund, so that's $1,100, and then another $196 going to my checking account. So $11, $12, almost $1,300 going to my bank off of a $2,000. So those days are coming. You've almost got there. You're gonna love it. With no other headaches, no other trucks, no nothing. You're there. All right, what's your idea of a good trucking company culture? You know what? Culture is a hard thing to define. That's almost like me saying, like, what makes the Marine culture so strong? And a lot of, okay, this is going to be counter to what I was saying earlier. One thing about the Marine culture, that makes the culture so good is you get so fucked by the higher ups that it like brings people together, right? Now, you could say, well, if you're saying that the prime culture is, like this, it's not the same. Like, okay, so put it this way, the marine culture from the top down, the top is continually fucking the bottom, right? But you may have people, let's say on the lower end, screwing each other because of whatever, but they're not getting directed to screw each other. Like, we handled our own business, so we didn't have to have any. If the directive was to have locks on trailers, it wasn't that just had to be said, and then it was getting self kind of policed by the lower end. So we wouldn't have anybody snitching. We would have people handling business. And if you heard about blanket parties, that's usually on the low end. But you just have we handle business from the lower end up. So it's hard to really explain what the culture is like. But put it this way: I was in the terminal a few times over the last year. Now, for a while, it was like Rob Lowe was in the gym, hooping it up with people. Getting after it. People weren't taking it easy on them. They were like elbowing them, dunking on, all that stuff. The last few times I've been in there, it almost felt like Rob Lowe was a visitor in his own house. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Now, before, you used to have drivers be at the terminal playing basketball whenever they were there. Now, in-house is taking over the gym, and they're playing pickleball like they're 85-year-old people in the retirement home. So you have in-house people taking over. Like, first of all, the terminal is not for drivers anyway. Period. But now sometimes there's not even the option because in-house is taking that over. I went and took a shower one time. There was a line for a shower, and do not tell me I did not see two people. I'm not going to say what department because, I saw two people leaving the showers with the line of drivers out there waiting to get a shower. Those little things. It could, here's a good one. It could be, now there's the letter of the law and kind of, if you're going to follow everything by the letter of the law, there was a time that if anything happened to a trailer tire, let's say, let me just put it this way. I feel like they're going out of their way to find drivers at fault for different things and put different deductibles on drivers and things like that. So a lot of times if a trailer tire went out, that was almost something that you didn't even have to think about. Now it's like they're looking to put the money on drivers. And the worst part about it is it wasn't coming when the market was that strong. It's coming, that stuff was coming when you had a lot of drivers that weren't making money or things like that. You had drivers that were willing to train, that were all of a sudden now they're picking up the slack for paying drivers more. I don't have a problem with that. I made so much money when I was training, it was like ridiculous. Yeah, please. I never had a problem with that. I made so much money on that, but pushing all the costs to the drivers on that training is just was not. They lost a lot of good experienced drivers because of that. So to get into the culture, it's kind of hard to do it because there's more. I'd really have to sit down and think about it because there's so many different things that I would say. I mean, it could be as simple as having a question in a meeting and getting shot down in the middle of a question saying, we could talk about this later. I don't care if the meeting's supposed to be an hour. If there's a legitimate question that comes up that's raising valid concerns, the meeting needs to go over 15, 20 minutes to get that addressed. Not just shot down and we could talk about this later, because chances are that's a question somebody else had. Anyway. All right, I appreciate it there, Mason. All right, so all right, Johnny B, I think the videos are good. Deterrent. Remember when, the videos, I don't know. I think something like that could be shared on the Prime app. I don't think that needs to be shared. We already got enough people out there doing videos of drivers doing stupid things on Facebook and YouTube. Tito's and sodas on home time in Orlando. What's up? Shamarcus, they never answer questions directly, always beat around the bush. Absolutely. So, culture is a hard thing to define. It's like you got it or you don't. Or you're losing it or you're gaining. I guess that's not correct. But if I was really thinking about that question, I probably could get a little bit deeper in that. Here's a good one. So, 3 years ago, it was Christmas, and I was like, you know what? I want to give the in-house staff, so we're talking about people that clean bathrooms, all that kind of stuff, some money. So I go to somebody at Prime, and I say, because I didn't know who to talk to, so I just went to somebody, and I was like, hey, if I want to do this, I don't need that. Yeah, no, I'm good. So how do I go about doing this? Now, I still did it, but I didn't realize how many there were. But it was the first person I talked to was telling me that that's not a good thing to do because, I forget what the reasons were. And I was just like, man, this is crazy. You got a driver that's actually trying to go out of their way to, for lack of a better word, bless the in-house staff. And then you got, somebody saying that's not a good idea. I don't know. I ended up doing it. I had to do a lot more leg work than I thought was necessary. But all right, let's see what time it is. Oh, 10:47, almost 11. Time to make this interesting. And I told my son to give me a little bit of bourbon, and this motherfucker gave me, it should have been like right here, right? I'll be drinking this like maybe into tomorrow. Shit. So for those of you guys just came in, we were talking about truck stops earlier today. Or earlier in the video. That stuff's giving me hiccups. Dang. That is strong. But we've kind of moved on past that. So if you're just coming in, my thoughts on the truck stops were done, or were spoken about at the very beginning of this video. Now, as an addendum to some of those things we were talking about earlier in the video as far as parking goes, it damn, in the wintertime, don't park at some of these off-brand truck stops that have dirt lots. Don't get stuck up in there. My disrespectful son, for somebody that left that comment earlier, just made me a little sandwich, so I'm about to get into that real quick. All right, so I did get my truck in the shop out here. Got a bit of a coolant leak. Should be covered under warranty unless they say that it was due to impact, and I can't think of anything that would have had a chance to hit that damn radiator. I did. Oh man, it hurt my heart. I ran over a fucking raccoon. Now, I'd rather run over a raccoon than a deer, but emotionally it hurt more hitting a raccoon than a deer, because a raccoon's got personality, and personality goes a long way. So that shit hurt me. I thought about that shit. I'm thinking about it now, and this is probably 3 weeks ago, but that shit hurt me for the rest of my drive shit. Hey, I might get off of here because my wife is calling. Hang on here, though. Sorry about that. All right, so forgot where I was at. But yeah, for those of you guys just came in, go check out Driveline video when he was talking about Truck Stop Wars. He was taking shots at me. Earl, what are you talking about the shop? Because if you're saying what I think you're going to say, I'll definitely have something to say about that. So please expand on that one. Oh, the shop. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I got my truck in there for that. And then normally I don't leave my APU running when I go home, but the last time I came back, my truck was super dead. And this Navajo truck place that we're parked at in Denver while I'm on home time, they act like me taking my personal car on the terminal to jump my truck is like asking to go to the fucking moon or some shit like that. So I left my APU on, had alternator code come up. So when that comes out of the shop, I need to possibly get that over to Thermo King if that's not, hasn't corrected itself or anything. So I don't plan on coming out until the 22nd anyway. So that's what, exactly 2 weeks from today. So I got that going on. I still haven't got my title changed over. So when I get my truck from Peterbilt, I'm gonna have them do a VIN verification. I'm gonna run over to the Sapp Brothers and next to the Peterbilt dealership or down the road from the Peterbilt dealership, get a scale ticket for my truck, run down to DMV, transfer the title. And I do need to get to Springfield. Somebody stole the license plate off my damn truck. So I need to, I ordered a new license plate. So I need to pick that up. I might get a deer guard on my truck. I'm still contemplating that. And they stole my plate in Pennsylvania. So I think they were worried about them tolls. But I didn't get hit with any tolls, so I don't know. Okay, Johnny B, that is not a stupid question. He asked, but you don't have to change plates when you transfer a title. No, when you transfer a title, if you're running for somebody else or running under their authority and you already have their plate, all that you need to do is transfer their plates or transfer the title. So that really isn't a dumb question because the DMV out here had a hard time wrapping their head around that until two things they had a problem with is not realizing that I didn't need plates because I already had plates because I was running under somebody else's authority, and that I didn't need to pay tax on the value of the truck because the truck buyout was $100. So they're trying to charge me. The value of the truck, if you were to look it up, was going to be about $80,000, $90,000. So let's say 8 times, I think they were using 8. So they were trying to charge me 10% or I think it was 8% of $80,000, when in reality, it was going to be 8%, or not 8%. 8% of $100. Or 10, I forget if it was 8 or 10%. I think it was 10% because I only paid $11 to transfer that over last time. So, now states will differ. So in Colorado, to transfer your title, I need a scale ticket, just bobtail. I need a VIN verification. And then you're going to need a copy of your lease. The reason you need the copy of your lease is so when you go down there, it explains it all out to them. Purchase price, $100. Otherwise, they're going to try to hit you with the estimated value of the truck. So that's kind of how that works. So anybody that's in this chat, I'm not going to ask you to go up and hit the like button, but hey, put if you could put 2 things out there just to spice up the conversation, go down there and put where you're at right now, like the location, city, state, and then what year you were born. Spark up a little more conversation. Because talking about trucking, boy, sometimes that shit could get so damn boring. But talking about some of this other stuff, it's so much fun. Sacramento, California, man. Sacramento. I think the last time I was up in Sacramento, I was delivering to some beer place kind of up near that area. Is that 49er truck stop pretty close to Sacramento, if I remember correctly? Went up there. The place was closed. Ended up getting a $500 truck order not used or something along those lines. For those of you guys that have, watched some other videos, I said that one of the guys that I became really good friends with in the Marines was going into the Marines. He was like a racist, almost skinhead type of a guy. And he lived just outside of Sacramento in a place called Walnut Creek. So doing our best to help racism one person at a time, I guess you could say. Houston, Texas, Gene Scott. My brother lives in Houston, Texas, and boy, I showed a picture of my brother in one of these videos. If any of you guys haven't seen, he's 9 months younger than me, and he looks probably 30 years older than me. But not one of my favorite rappers, but one of the people I'd like to meet because he's such a great person is from Houston. rapper by the name of Paul Wall. So anyway, Houston, Hayburn, Indiana. I don't know much about Indiana, but that south part of Indiana, kind of by, a little bit below Chicago, is one of my favorite places to run. Not so much leaving Indiana on 70, Lord have mercy, or getting into Indiana on 70. Boy, that is a rough road out there. Just coming off of home time, that's what I'm talking about. Lincoln, California. I don't know much about Lincoln, California. What year? Okay, 1975. 1975. I can remember 1975 well. I remember 1975. It could be 76. My dad, I was a Raider fan. I do not know why. I became a Raider fan like 1974, and I was like only 5 years old, right? And my dad tried to brainwash me into becoming a Denver Bronco fan. So he bought me these Denver Broncos shoes, and I was so pissed off. Like, I couldn't refuse to wear them because I needed some shoes, but I just remember he did that. It was around 1975, and I was like extremely pissed off about that. As pissed off as you could be as a 5-year-old or whatever it was. Shamarcus, Meridian, Mississippi. You on home time, Shamarcus, or what are you doing out there? I'm actually in Beaumont, Texas. One of my boys I was in the mortgage business with lived in Beaumont, Texas. That's where he's from. Let me see. Didn't think you would know where that is. All right, Beaumont, Texas. So his name is Anthony Buscemi. When I was a manager in the mortgage business, we opened up an office in Phoenix, Arizona, and he is one of the guys that went out there to open up that. Man, I wish I had my other phone, or all my stuff is on this phone. But he went out there to help open up that place out in Phoenix, and he was from Beaumont, Texas, and he was like one of the funniest dudes like ever. Great dude though. Beaumont, Texas, actually, yeah. Lincoln is between Folsom and Rockham. The only Lincoln I know is in Nebraska. All right, they have the buffet. They're talking about some stuff I don't know about. Come on, let's put some years down there. What years are you guys born in? I love thinking back to like previous times in my life to kind of put me in a, like what year you're born at, or 1970. 1970, man, I was like only, let's see, 68, late 68. So, see, man, I was like a year old, man. I don't remember that much, but if you were born in 1970, you were born in a great generation, one of them early Gen Xers. You know, you got the people that are millennials and Gen Z and baby boomers, but them early Gen X people, like not the 1980s ones, whatever, but the early ones, man, I'm telling you, we had it so good. Like, drinking age was like 18 years old back then. Like, oh, it was just a great time to like come up, like going through high school in the 80s and shit like that. Good times, I'm telling you. Taking a note to the grocery store to get your mom cigarettes, and they'd actually give you the fucking cigarettes. I'm telling you, nostalgia is that. I mean, you know what? If you're kind of in my era, like growing up, born in the late 60s, early 70s, if you think about like all the music, just think about the music. You came off of the whole like Jimi Hendrix, Jefferson Airplane, the Doors, all that kind of stuff was still playing. Then, as much as people hate like disco, you kind of came up through that. Then you came up through the glam rock era, all that. Then, some of that became classic classical music, but then you had the all that old school R&B that kind of, I mean, that was then the beginnings of hip hop and all that kind of stuff. And then you had the grunge movement, like in the early 90s. Man, it was just such a, man, no matter what kind of music you like, that was like the pinnacle of it back then. I'd say between like 80, well, it's hard to put a time period on it, but just all that back then. Oh man, it was so. I mean, those were some good times. I really look back on that with fondness. All right, the refer to the Gen. Okay, hey y'all. They refer to the Gen Xers as cool kids. We had a little tech, but still could do shit on our own. Man, I'm telling you, and this is no fabrication. It was 1975 because it couldn't have been after that. I was so 75. That would have made me, let's just say I'm 70, right? Or 69. I was born in 68, but let's just say 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 6 years old. I'm leaving school, going home, changing out of my school clothes into my regular home clothes, and not having a parent come home until like 6 o'clock in the evening. You would be like under a jail. I remember now this was a bit of a change because there was a period of time when my dad opened up some stores in Pueblo, Colorado. This was not happening up in the Denver area back in the day, but the Pueblo school principal had like a paddle with holes in it, and you would actually get paddled like by the principal in that school. Man, those were like, you know, I look at, even when my kid was going through high school, you have actual crossing guards out in front of a fucking high school. That shit is so soft. I can't even believe it. Kids wearing bicycle helmets around when they ride their bike. I mean, that was like stuff that wasn't out there. Like you would be at home during the summer and you'd have a bike and you'd be out 12 miles away from home riding your bike and nobody was thinking that was anything crazy. Cabbage Patch, I remember when that was like on the news back in the days, the GI Joes because they had the GI Joe with the afro back in the day that had kind of the textured hairdo. Those things were tight. Man, those were some good ass days back. Like seriously, it was like I said in earlier videos, when you're 18 years old, and I remember the teacher that I really remember this with, he retired as the superintendent of the school district I came out of. We're 18 years old, we go to a club, and he's at the club on a Wednesday night, and then all he has to say is, better be ready for school tomorrow. So, oh man. My boss said, have a good day, so I went home. There you go. The good old days, I'm telling you, those were great days. I got my ass lit up every day at school till I graduated in 99. 99, so that was basically 12 years after. Man, in 1999, that was almost when I first got out of the car industry, selling cars, into the banking industry, which kind of got me into the mortgage industry. That's what I remember about 1999. And that was 2 years after I bought my first home, when I was like 27 years old or whatever that was. Johnny B, we used to take the brakes off of BMXs, absolutely, and then we would take the brakes off and then put the handbrakes on if you didn't have enough money to get well, okay, so you had the brakes where you kind of went reverse on the pedals, but it was cool to have the handbrakes. So the first BMX bike I had didn't have handbrakes, but it had you step in reverse on the pedal, and then that would make you skid out. But my bikes after that, man, I had the PK. First, I had a Mongoose, and then I think I went to a Diamondback, and then I went to a PK Ripper because I was working at Burger King back in the day, stacking up them chips, so I had enough money to spend some money on some bikes. And then I got a 10-speed or whatever after that. But all right, am I still working at Prime? Yes, I'm still working at Prime, Florida. But I went to a little town in southeast Texas. All right. I'm trying to get back into trucking. Come on over. The one thing I'm going to say about Prime is coming over as an experienced driver is hard work because they don't give you no training. You're kind of like on your own. It's your boy Danny. What's up? I'm doing great. Give me just a second. I normally wouldn't eat on camera, but my son made this fire-ass hot dog. Well, not hot dog, but sausage sandwich. All right. So, Florida. Is the pay still good? I never had a problem with the pay at Prime. The pay at Prime, and I'm talking about a single truck. When I had multiple trucks out there was definitely some challenges, so I'm not speaking on that. But as a one truck, one driver type of situation, I never had anything to complain about as far as the pay at Prime. And it's kind of hard for me to really talk about it because I had so much shit dragging me down for the last, let's say up until 6 months ago. Well, let's say this. Okay, so it's February now, so let's say September, October. Before September, October, there was so much shit weighing me down that it's hard for me to really say. But personally, if I made $1,500 a week net, that was a bad week. And it wasn't bad enough for me to complain about it. It was a week where I'd say, this is a little bit lighter than usual. Usually I would be in that $2,000, $2,500, and that's with the truck payment. So for those of you guys thinking about coming to Prime, if you hear any driver at Prime say, I made this much money this week, because I'm not going to talk about the money or anything like that anymore. If you hear anybody say, I made, let's just say $5,000, an easy way to figure out what they took home. First of all, the $5,000 is net minus Prime's cut. Okay, so a lot of people you hear will say, here's how much I made last week, and then the company got this much money. That's not, if you hear people at Prime, that money is after paying everybody their cut as far as Prime. So if I made $5,000 in a week, the easiest way to figure out how much money you've made off of that $5,000 is divided by 2. Now, maybe if you drove up in the Northeast or something like that, divided by 2 and take $300 off of that, and that will put you right there. So $5,000 a week is really not that great of a week. Multiply or divide that by 2, 2,500. Give or take what your fuel was, anything like that. So that should be netting me about $2,200, $2,500. So to me, that's good. If you don't have a truck payment, add another $1,200 or whatever on top of that. We'll have to get retrained. It's been around 3 years. Yep, Florida, if it's been 3 years, you got to get retrained. And that's almost with any company, unless it's like a mom and pop or something like that. Mason, thanks for the sandwiches. Great.
Yeah, I almost forgot we had the fetish of stuffed pepper and seeds.
Mason,
Yeah.
don't think it's anything personal if you see that rent go up.
Okay.
It's just because I love you, I'm be honest.
Can I get an animal?
What's that?
I can't get a pet, can I?
You might be able to get another dog
Small dog?
to go along with Frankie,
Yeah.
but that's with me. Or that goes through me. That didn't go through your mom.
I know. You get a small dog
But what's the difference? We're gonna be taking care of the motherfucker anyway.
I'm taking care of the motherfucker.
Mason, you can't separate animals out like that and be like, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna just take my dog out to go walk around, or I'm gonna take my own dog to eat. It's not like that.
I take Frankie too.
Right, but what I'm saying is they're a pair. So if you go to sleep at night, that dog's probably got to be up here with us because everything's got to be this consistent.
I take Frankie downstairs and meet him.
Right, but what I'm saying is everything has to be consistent.
That's fine.
Anyway,
I have to bring Frankie with me. I don't want her getting like
Mason,
a bully.
shut the fuck up. We'll talk later.
Okay.
All right, let's see let's see. What type of bourbon are you drinking today? I don't remember. My son bought this, and this is like a day's worth of, maybe even a day and a half's worth of bourbon. See, the difference between bourbon drinkers and like vodka drinkers and shit like that is you really don't see a lot of bourbon drinkers be alcoholics because it's too fucking expensive. So we're sippers, you know what I mean? We just sip. So I forget what that is. I know it's 132 proof though, so it's a Colorado bourbon. I forget the name of it, but it's good. But that's way too much he poured in there. And he bought it for me, so there you go. If you never leased, wouldn't it be good to do the ACE lease first? If you never leased, wouldn't it be good to do... Here's my thing, right, Johnny B? I think a lot of people try to speed through shit a little bit too fast, right? So when I went to Prime and I did training was 30,000 miles at the time. I decided to do damn near 140,000 miles on my trainer's truck. Not because I had problems with it or anything like that, but because I wanted to learn everything before that. And this is somebody that I got into trucking. Money wasn't an issue. I didn't have to worry about anything like that. But I think that's going to be an individual kind of thing. I think what Prime does that I think is a disservice to some drivers is you take somebody, whether it be old, new, whatever, you take somebody out of a situation where they don't really know about money. Like, think of how many people came to Prime leasing and they're 25 years old, and you're saying, here's a $5,000 a month truck payment, and they've never seen $500 or $5,000 in a month, right? They've never seen $5,000 in general. So even the concept of money is a little bit skewed, right? So I think the ACE lease is a great, like I could not do a regular lease. I couldn't do it. And that's not taking anything away from people that do regular leases, but paying all that money for stuff that's going to be helping another driver down the road when you turn that lease in is not anything that I would find palatable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be like, oh, okay, well, so let's say the radiator I got right now. Okay, my lease is up, right? I've paid off the truck in 3 years. let's say that I didn't pay off this truck. Let's say that it's like I've had this truck, I got a brand new truck at Prime, and I'm 2 months away from my lease being up, and all of a sudden I go to a dealership, and I don't know what the prognosis is going to be on this, but they say, oh, that's like not covered under warranty. It's $4,000 to get a new radiator. So now I'm gonna pay $4,000 for a radiator to get a brand new radiator for another motherfucker, or for pedigree to sell the truck. I don't get it. At least now I know if I pay for a new radiator or refurbish whatever, that's my truck, right? So I've never understood, even from the very beginning, understood leasing a truck long term at Prime to keep that truck up to date, and pay for whatever for either another driver or for pedigree. It just doesn't make common sense for me. So I would jump into an ace lease as soon as possible, even if it costs money to do it. So when I did my first lease at Prime, and a lot of times, see on their site, or if you talk to people, they say you have to lease for 6 months. That's not the case. I know people that have lease purchased right out the bat, with, now you may not be able to order the truck, but they've lease purchased right out of the bat, right out of training. So why wouldn't Success Leasing be like, well, we don't want to lease to you because you haven't driven for this long? And I'm like, okay, but I got, $200,000 in the bank. I got an 800 fucking credit score, and whatever the situation, like, it wouldn't make sense. But in my case, I did lease for 6 months because I wasn't 100% sure. And then I turned in that truck, lost whatever I had in my, lease completion bonus, whatever it was. And it still made sense. I don't see making payments, repairs for somebody else. I just don't get it. So I'd say lease purchase, however that is, as soon as possible. Oh my God. That I can't, like, the lease completion bonus is like not enough money to offset that. I don't get it. The math has never made sense to me, to where even if you just lease, like, if you're in a lease and now you've like become awakened to it, that's a different thing. But knowing the difference between the two, leasing a truck for 3 years and getting a 15,000, let's even say 20,000 lease completion bonus, just the math is not adding up. I just don't get it. Now, if you're short term, I understand that. But if you think you're going to be at Prime for more than 6 years, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Anyway, short story long, I guess. Should I wonder why bourbon gets me sick that as much as I put in my... Johnny, this is a lot of fucking bourbon. Now, if you ever see me sipping on a bourbon in a video, that shit's like right here. That's like maybe a half of a shot. And you might take that half of a shot over the course of like 3 hours, because bourbon isn't like vodka. You don't drink bourbon to get fucked up. You drink vodka to experience oh, you know what? I taste the cinnamon, the baking spices, it's got a little bit of, mouthfeel to it. Whatever. You're like experiencing the drink. You're not drinking it to get fucked up. Now you can get fucked up off of it, trust me, because bourbon's typically going to be higher. Most vodka, 80%. This here, 132% or 132 proof. So, you can get fucked up on it, but that's not why bourbon drinkers drink bourbon. Usually it's like to, like, experience, experience it. Bourbon is an experience, and vodka is just to get drunk on. And ice and vodka, there's nothing wrong with that, especially a higher proof vodka, or not vodka, but bourbon. Because like I said, this here is a barrel proof, which means it came out of this didn't get thinned out. So whatever it came out of the barrel at, it came out at. Now you have foolproof, where if it went into the barrel at 114%. They're gonna water it down to 114%, proof, excuse me. And then you have other bourbons or whatever that are gonna be 80, 90, proof or whatever, and they thin it out even more. But something like this, I would normally put I don't have a problem putting ice in this, but you just don't get that same intense, you get all the flavors. And again, most people that are drinking bourbon are just more about the experience and getting fucked up. But you can't get fucked up. Let me stop. All right. If my son was up here, I'd probably ask him to put ice in this bourbon right here. All right. Yeah, in my case, I've been driving for a while. I just never leased, but I see the tax benefits of being 1099 rather than 1040. Now, first of all, here's one thing I will say. I think that there's a lot of people that should be company drivers, and I think people take that the wrong way. If you look at 100 drivers and stretch that out over all different carriers, Prime, Swift, Sierra England, mom and pops, whatever. Company drivers typically are going to be the ones, as a whole, are probably going to be better off than lease drivers. Not necessarily saying that it's better, but if you take, the problem is there's such a high fallout rate. The average lease driver may do better than the average company driver, but if you take the fallout rate on those leases is so high that kind of skews the numbers a little bit. And then you got those company drivers are just killing it. So I think, whenever I hear somebody say, and I'm like, where are you at? What are you doing? They're just like, I'm just a company driver. That's a flex right there. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people that don't get, I came into trucking understanding my tax situation, understanding a lot of this stuff. And I think a lot of people are shocked when they get that shock from what they have to do. A lot of times you hear people saying with Prime, Abacus isn't a good, they're not good at tax, they don't get, whatever they say about that. As far as taxes go, that's on you. Information in, information out. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. And I've had multiple properties. I've had 1099 income from different areas and stuff like that. So it wasn't a shock to me when I came to Prime. And I think a lot of people aren't used to that because they came out of wherever they came out of and they're not used to this stuff. Anyway, let me stop. Alcohol is, Allah will put you, I don't know what that is, whatever your name is, Raw Matt, but hey, whatever your thoughts are on alcohol, I agree with you. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Here we go. Listen, my dad was a preacher and I could not get out of that shit fast enough. My God. All right. I will tell you before. All right. Listen. I spent more time in church and I could probably debate most people on here that want to get into religion better than they can. So this isn't no religion debate channel, but a lot of people that talk this whole religious shit could not hold a candle to me because trust me, I've done my dues in a church. And I'm not talking about no regular church. My best friend's a white dude, lived next door to me since 1977. And we used to love going to his church because that shit was over in 45 minutes. Black church, you got to be involved. You got to put in the struggle to go to a black church. I'm just telling you, we could have that conversation. But, and I should have a video with him so he could talk about it. Man, we could go toe to toe theologically if you'd like to, but I don't know. All right, that's why I listened to you, buddy, because you have experience a lot already. Man, listen, okay, I just had this conversation with my daughter yesterday, and then I'm going to catch up on these comments. Experience is everything. You could take a bum that's 50 years old, and he probably can give you more. He probably has a lot more to offer you than somebody that's smart in their 20s. So I was talking to my daughter yesterday. We're at lunch having a father-daughter luncheon and stuff like that. And I'm telling them, listen, here's one of the things I got a problem with. It's not I have a problem with it. It's like the best gift that a guy can give, and I'm talking about her boyfriend, husband, whatever, give his father-in-law is peace of mind, right? Not having to worry about anything. And they're going through some struggles right now. And I told her, if I knew what I knew now, I would go back to his position in life right now and still be ahead of where I'm at right now because of what I know. The closest you can come to being clairvoyant or being able to read minds or, whatever is knowledge. And if anybody's in here and they're like under 30, maybe even 35, even if you're in a fucked up situation, even if you got a 500 credit score, you're broke, you're behind on your rent and all that stuff, I would change places with you right now and be better off than I am now based on what I know now. So life experiences, like stuff that people don't, like when people like talk shit about old people, whether they're my age or older, that's where to gain your experience from. That right there is invaluable because if I could just go back like 15 years, not even that long, what I know now, I'd kill it. And if you go back to if I was 30 years old now, no matter how bad your life is at 30, if I knew what I knew now, I would be killing it. Anyway. Oh, life experience is everything, I'm telling you. Should try Jamaican white rum. I've drank Jamaican white rum. As a matter of fact, I've drank the stuff right out of Jamaica. It's just not my speed that much. It's not bad, you know. I've never been to Jamaica, but my uncle used to go to Jamaica, and he had a bottle from there. All right. G80 Sean Prime have a live poultry division now? I don't think so. I think what they did was help a customer out that was in a bad situation that needed that freight moved like right then. I don't think that's anything we're going to be doing constantly. All right, Johnny B, I couldn't get out of religion quick enough. I was Jehovah's Witness. Okay, Jehovah's Witness is a little bit different. Jehovah's Witness is almost like being a Mormon. That shit's a cult. As much as, that shit's a cult. So I can. And what's the easiest way to get out? What's the easiest way to define religion from a cult? Even though both of them are little, a cult is when you leave. If you decide to stop doing something and they shun you, that's a cult. Like if you leave like regular church, they ain't out there trying to, shun you or, change your mind or no shit like that. All right. Woo! Jehovah's Witness. Boy, I went out with the Jehovah's Witness when I was in high school. So anyway. Man, my son is like crazy. And that's, what, if you really want to break this down, that is what, listen, trucking is trucking, okay? All this shit is easy, right? Driving trucks, is not that complicated. I mean, there's complicated things about it, whether it be weather, all this kind of stuff, but I think one of the things that makes trucking so hard is take any trucking job, whether it be Prime, Super Ego, Swift, whatever. If you look at what the natural path would be that they lay, I'm not talking about what drivers want to lay, what they lay, it's to become a lease driver. So I think what ends up happening, I've said this before, I'm not going to beat the bush too much, is you take a lot of people that never intended to be business owners and turn them into business owners. And then when shit goes wrong, you want to throw it up in their face like our business. Well, this isn't our business. My fleet manager, as much as I love him, is not in business. We're in business together because he helps me with my business, but we're not like in business together because he has an actual business account himself. Right? So I think one of the problems with the trucking is you turn people into accidental business owners. And then while you're doing that, you kind of throw it in their face a little bit like, I can't explain it. I think that if we made everybody business owners, that's not even going to work. The only way it's going to work, or the only thing, not the way it's going to work, because it's working now, but the only way everybody's going to see eye to eye with you, I love my wife, Andrea's life, what's up, is if this is no shot at Prime. This is a shot at the trucking industry in general. Until your people in upper management understand, and I'm not talking about an owner, because the owner at Prime, he went through his pain. He put in his dues, right? He suffered that pain. He actually had a business. But when you have people that have never filed a 1099 talking shit about how your business needs to be, like they're not qualified. They are not qualified. Anybody in your upper management in your office is talking about your business that doesn't have a business account or never had a business account is not qualified at talking about it. Now, I came into this with that kind of I came into trucking with that experience, but that's different. So how am I asking a 24-year-old kid that's never even barely had a W-2 to ask him to run a business and then kind of look down on them because they're not running a business like a business? Anyway, that's it. I just don't, and that's not anything wrong with the business plan. It's just that you're asking of people what they aren't. All right, let's put it this way. I heard that back in the day, in order to lease a truck at Prime, you could not do it right off the bat. You had to be a company driver for a certain amount of time or, whatever it was. You just could not do that right off the bat. So I think that would be good. I don't think that you should here's the problem with trucking. Everything has to be cut and dry. Everything has to be the same. I think there are times when you should look at somebody, and I think the biggest mistake with people with leasing and Prime is not running their credit and understanding where they're at in general. Not that a credit score should be the determining factor, but looking at their credit from, okay, here's how much you're paying here, here's how much you're paying there. Does this line up? I think that there should be I think there should be qualifications to leasing a truck. And I think that should be the way to save people some heartache and pain. Because if I'm leasing a truck to somebody that's $1,400-$1,500 a week in fixed costs, and they got let's say my example, $2,500 a month mortgage payment, I don't have car payments, but let's say I got a car payment that's $300 a month, and I got credit cards that are, I don't have credit cards. Let's say they're $500 a month, or let's say $200 a month. I necessarily wouldn't say that somebody leasing a truck should be turned down because of the credit score, but if they have all this debt on them, it should be a good conversation to have that here's your expectations. Do you have a wife that's helping you with this? Okay. There should be a conversation. Okay, so you have a wife that makes, $100,000 a year. Okay, you know what, that changes things. A conversation, not just like, okay, let me just sign here and just move on. Because you're asking of people what they aren't. You're asking people. Oh shit! I forgot I didn't have my shit plugged in. Hold on. You're asking people to do what they haven't been accustomed to doing, or what they're even ready to do in life. All right, Chris. Let's see. You ever catch a fart in a jar? No, but I've farted like a ton of times today. And I try, when it comes to this stuff, I try to be like, I try not to be the guy that's overly involved in my kid's life or anything like that. But if he was to say, I'm coming to Prime and I plan on leasing a truck or lease purchasing or, whatever, I would probably step in on that. And I'm not saying I would like not tell him to do it, but that's a little bit more of a conversation than I think this was being had. And those are the, not having those conversations is when you have people saying, now they're having me pay to like fix up the truck for the next person or to do this or to do that. Anyway, Trucking Life, My Filipino Wife. Definitely got to read this. He's always good with insightful commentary. My thoughts on the idea of a conversation would be to make ACE 2 at the beginning of a lease and expand it to write a business plan as part of the class. Make it 2 days and explain as 101 course. I think as much as you can speak on that would be, because I'm not trying to say that people in trucking or that get into trucking are uneducated, but I'm going to say that people getting into trucking are more uneducated than what is required of them. So I'm not saying they're stupid. What I'm saying is when you talk to the average person that's going to start a business, they actually have more education. Now, intelligence is one thing. A lot of intelligent, truckers, stuff like that. But as far as education goes, the average trucking business or that person that starts that 1099 is way more uneducated than almost any other facet of business you want to talk about out there. So you're having people come into a business that really probably didn't even think about it. When people got into trucking, they were not thinking, oh, let me go into trucking so I could be a business owner. That was never the case for most people that got into trucking. Most people wanted to be a truck driver. Then what happened is you had everything coming up. Oh, be an owner operator, be a lease operator, be this, be that. I've looked at several people's videos that have failed in trucking miserably that probably would have done well as a company driver. But they kept getting lured in by this fantasy of making all this extra money, leasing, and not everybody has that money. That's part of the problem. Rakesh, my man, there's also a lot of false information out there. So even if you do research, there's still a learning curve that you need to prepare for. Rakesh was my last driver on my fleet. And, when people talk about Indian drivers and all this shit, Listen. Oh man, this is gonna piss me off. I got to go somewhere I didn't want to go. I'm not even gonna take a bite out of that sandwich. I'm so pissed off. This whole like racism that gets so casual in trucking is something that really fucking pisses me off, right? So my last driver, Rakesh, let's talk about all my drivers. I had a Puerto Rican woman driver. I had a old white driver. I got a gay. Talk about what? What? An old white driver, old gay or not old. Who? Who? Could you come here and just come here? Hold on a second. We're about to get into this. My wife is all fucked up. Come here. But she's the best. I couldn't live life without her. Come here. Just whisper it in my ear. What? Here. Oh, nobody's gonna be looking for her. So, in fact, next time I see her, I'm gonna just give her all my shit since waiting around for 20 videos is gonna be stupid. All right, anyway, when's she coming over?
What?
When's she coming over?
Who?
Taylor.
Is she?
I don't know. When's the kid coming over?
Tomorrow.
Is she coming over here? Or are we going over there? Or are you going over there?
Probably go pick them
All right, then I'm gonna have you give her the shit so she has no excuses.
Give what stuff?
My fucking camera, the attachments, all that shit.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't know you agreed to do that.
I didn't agree to do shit. I'm just telling you now.
Well, you just told me to take it there.
I'm not saying take it there now. I'm saying when you go.
Tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
That's it.
Okay. The GoPro.
Right.
Okay.
All right, dang, let me get back into this. All right, so let me catch up on comments. All right, Rakesh, it doesn't matter whether your heritage is Indian, whatever it is, the subtle racism in the trucking industry is a little bit much out there. And you know what? One thing that I've never thought about, like I said, so I've got the Puerto Rican woman driver. All right, we need to start going bigger things, but yeah, go ahead. That's good. We got the old white dude driver that I had. We had the young gay black woman driver, and then we had the Indian driver, right? So I've never thought about that. Fuck, I forgot my damn point on this because my. Anyway, so,
What was that I asked about the other day? Like dementia? Was that?
my wife thinks I got dementia. I might have dementia messing around here. But my thing is this. That's one thing about the trucking industry. I don't remember what my point was. Maybe I got to go back through these videos or through these comments. But, that is one thing I got a problem with in the trucking industry is just that casual racism that exists. And it, I know my man Rakesh is saying, what, I bleed red, white, and blue and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter what you bleed. You get caught up in some of that shit either way. Because whether you are doing some of the stereotypical shit that, would get brought up in conversation, you're still getting looked at that same way. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I got a problem with. And, one thing is that, man, I forgot my whole topic, but now I'm on to something else. When I became a manager in the mortgage industry, not that my company never did want to hire these people. It's just kind of what came along, but I hired the first other black person, the first gay person. I don't know. I just never, and it wasn't like those people would have never thought about it, but my reach was so great that people that normally wouldn't have seen my company on a radar became, those, they saw the company. So I've just never been that type. And I got off the topic. But one thing I am gonna say just to wrap this up is I have no fucking there is no amount I have no when it comes to racism, that is like one thing that is a no-go period. Like it could be family, it could be whoever. If I ever got that feeling that somebody was racist, you could be anybody and that shit's over.
You ate. Okay, never mind.
So now I'm not saying I'm not out there. I'm not saying I'm not one out there to throw some shit in you like as a joke. You know what I'm saying? So I will make some insensitive jokes sometime. But 50 something, what's up? I will make a joke on somebody. Double fisting it right now. We got a little bourbon, a little coffee. I told my son to give me a little bit of bourbon. This motherfucker gave me like 2 days worth of bourbon. Those of you guys just came in, we were talking about truck stops earlier today. The conversations got a little bit off of that. But talking about what's your favorite place to stop at, TA, Petro, Love's, off-brand, stuff like that. And I was basically just saying, to me, Love's is like a 40-degree day. There's nothing special about it. At Prime, we already get free showers, free drinks there. If I'm going to fuel up somewhere, I'm going to go to Petro TA. I think they got better fuel. Maybe that's in my mind. But our rewards there are so good that if I'm already getting free showers and stuff and drinks at Love's, why would I not fuel a TA Petro? Add more to my. So now I can not only just stop at Love's and get a shower, I can stop at TA Petro and get a shower. And if I still choose to use the Love's shower, I can use the $17.50 for a meal credit at TA Petro. It's a much better deal for me. That's what we were talking about earlier. But again, I said typically I use TA Petro for the meal discounts, and I normally try to park at like an off-brand truck stop. Depending on where I'm at, that could depend on what it is. If I'm in South Carolina, North Carolina, that could be a Circle K, it could be a Shell. If I'm in Wisconsin, that could be a Quick Star, a Quick Trip, a QT, and if I'm like in Texas, it could be like wherever. 412, what's up, man? At the beginning of this video, I had to give shots out to Eric over the driver lineup, talking about me being a wandering. I forgot what he called me out there. No rest areas, no truck. Hey, if you ever see me at a truck stop or a way station, or not a truck stop, if you ever see me at a rest area or way station, shit went terribly wrong. And I'm going so far as to say even like travel plazas in like Ohio and Indiana, like even the ones that have like all that shit. If you see me at one of those, something went wrong. Like that was the only place to go or some shit like that. I don't like any. I don't know why. I just don't. Our Love's price is usually cheaper than Pilot. I don't really go to Pilot, but I know that if you're getting 4 points per gallon at TA, right? I could see you saying, I prefer to go to Love's because they got free showers and free drinks. Well, still do that shit. But I think going to Petro TA, you're still going to have the shit at Love's, but you're going to get the shit at TA Petro also. So now not only do you got the shit at Love's, Now you have a parking credit at TA because sometimes they charge parking, whatever. And then now you also have the shower credit. So now you've expanded your shower network. And then you get the $17.50 for the fuel or for the, anything over 60 gallons. And what I'll do is I'll get 60 gallons, shut off the pump, and then get 60 more gallons. So now for 120 gallons, I'm getting $30 worth of food, or two shower credits, or two parking credits, whatever. Loves is like a 40. Like the best Loves is never gonna. The best Loves, if you say that that's like on a scale from 1 to 100, 75 or 80. Let's not even talk about it. Like you can't even compare the best Petro TA to the best Loves. It's like it's gonna kill it. Oh, anyway. I'm at a dope little pilot on 45 just south of Dallas. Southern Smoke Steakhouse. 412. You better get out of there before they start charging parking, because I think I know where you're at. And I was chilling out there one day, and then at 4:30 there's a guy driving around collecting money for parking. So a lot of those places will start charging at 4:30. 412, should I say. This shit been clutch all weekend. Didn't you say the weather up in Kansas is going to be bad? I'm headed to Olathe. Man, I don't know what the weather is going to be like in Kansas because I'm going to be chilling at the house, man. So, I just found out some stuff that I'm going to need to change because I didn't know. One thing my son's not doing is he's not paying the rent he's going to be paying coming up soon. But now he came up with a vacation for my wife and didn't tell me, so now I got to fit my shit into this. Andrea.
What, babe?
When are you guys supposed to be going on vacation? Because now I got to fit this shit into.
Hang on.
These motherfuckers make decisions without me
What,
around.
babe?
When are you and Mason going on vacation or whatever this is going to be? Because this is going to affect me. So the fact that I didn't know about it till now.
May 10th.
Okay, so now I got to work that around my
It's the 7th.
DOT physical.
Oh, you can just come with us.
No, I'm not, because I got to work it around my DOT physical. So I'm probably going to be out until then, is really what it's going to be. Because I got to work. I got to get the physical. That is not negotiable. I got to get that done. And then I got to have it done in time to be back here. So that's probably going to be right when you guys are talking about leaving. Because I'm not going to be able to have the chance to come back and do. Maybe I'll have the chance to come back and do 2 weeks and then go do the physical or whatever, then come back. But it's just. So those are just things that.
Having your schedule be at the mercy of someone else.
What's that?
Having your schedule be at the mercy of someone else.
Right, that's what I'm saying. My schedule is based on the mercy of someone else. What's that?
Nothing, sweetheart. I'm watching a show and making my lunch. Okay? I love you very
I love you too.
I just got home from work. So
Man, you barely been at work.
8 hours. 2:15 to 10:45. Yeah.
Shit doesn't count until it's like 3 o'clock in the morning.
No.
All right, anyway.
And I've been up since before midnight.
All right, let's see. All diesel is inflated at the 4 major truck chains. I could see that not being in that network as far as the fuel discounts, but Prime is, man, the fuel at Prime is so cheap, I can't even believe it. If you fuel at Speedways, Maverick, or SAP, usually cheaper. Not necessarily your Prime. Oh, you said TA. I thought you said pilot. Okay. I really don't go to pilot Flying J unless I got to stop there. I won't really fuel there unless it's just a reefer. Hey, 412, what kind of problems you talking about? 50 something. Man, do not do this shit. Just get it and don't this whole that whole chat and stuff. Hey, man, don't do that shit. 1792 is good shit. Foolproof too. Man. Could have tasted some good banana, a little bit of cinnamon, some brown sugar on that bad boy. But man, don't be doing don't do no shit like that. Seriously. Man. $17.92 is probably one of those automatic bottles you can get and just know that shit's gonna be good. Especially when you talk about the difference between their regular stuff and you're getting some foolproof or some barrel strength or something like that. That is some good stuff. Damn, man. Don't do that, though. Shit. I start feeling bad. Give me just a second. But 50 plus, man, he's like one of the people that came out early. Like we both got into trucking around the same time. He's out at Milton and started at Swift, was training out there for a while, and now he's at Milton. And he's an inspiration for all you older people wanting to get into that flatbed stuff. But he has stopped in Denver a few years ago for I don't know, in between loads or whatever it was. And he came over to my house and I grilled up some steaks and everything. So we had a chance to do that. And that was a good ass time. So 50 something, maybe that's payback for the steaks or whatever. I'll take that, but no need to do that shit in the future. But man, that was a good day. I still remember that. It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but damn, that was a long time ago. All right. All right, let me.
No, if you cook, it's definitely been a long time ago.
He was the guy that came over the day that.
Like I said, you cook, that was a really long time ago.
All right, my wife is saying it's been a long time.
Too long.
Well, it has nothing to do with the money, bro. All right. Let's see, YouTube. All right, so I wish I could handle liquor and bourbon and stuff, man. All I drink is Corona. Corona's good. And like I said, it's a totally different experience drinking like bourbon than it is like vodka or something like that. It's just like, I think vodka is done for a purpose. Bourbon is done for more of an experience. Corona, I guess, would be kind of the same way. Corona, I like my Japanese beers like Kirin, stuff like that when I'm getting sushi. But yeah. Man, them new Volvos got to be about the ugliest truck besides an International. I thought the new Volvos looked good, man. They almost kind of look like Peterbilts in a way. Maybe you just don't like Peterbilt's. AN, when do you work? Hopefully not soon. I'll be honest with you. My wife, I went online on the Prime website because I knew what I said I was going to come out. I said I was going to come back out 2/22, so February 22nd. That didn't mean I wouldn't come out earlier or maybe a little bit later. But I woke up like Thursday morning, they try to make that the 12th. It's like, no, you got to change that shit. So I might come out on the 22nd. I might come out before that. I got some stuff I need to spend money on. So maybe if the weather breaks a little bit, I might leave a little bit early. Especially now that I got to worry about like being home when my son's taking my wife on vacation and shit like that. Because listen, my dog's going to get handled. I ain't trying to put my dog on no plane or do no shit like that. So if they're out doing their thing, then I'm going to be out here handling my dog business. So they're saying May 10th. That's around when I got to get a DOT physical. So that means I got to, let's say I come back out on March. Let's say February. Let's just round it up to March, April, May. So that gives me 2 months running. Then I got to find time to get a physical and then get home. So I don't know. All right. You can call it binge drink. I drink to get tore up because after a minute, it all tastes the same. That's the difference. So vodka, a lot of people that you see are alcoholics, and I mean real alcoholics, are going to drink vodka. Like, it's harder to drink this. Like, if you were to really just be like, I'm going to just binge drink and just like, you know, you see people drinking tequila be one or vodka. They just turn the bottle up. You can't do that with this the same. So, and typically the difference is going to be vodka is going to cost $6 a bottle. Bourbon's going to be, you know, minimum 12. You know, I'm talking about palatable shit, $12 to $60. So this bottle here is $70. You ain't going to go at it the same way. Oh, wait, 50-something. Maybe we're talking about the wrong 50-something. All right. I thought we were talking about the 50-something that was at... hold on, let me take a look at this. I thought we were talking about the 50-something that works at Milton. All right, so we're talking about that. Okay, I thought we were talking about the 50-something at Milton. Okay, so now that makes me remember it a little bit more. Okay, yeah, so I thought we were talking about a different person. But there is a fifth. Man. All right, I was training my wife at the time. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, your channel name is very similar to somebody else's channel name. Huh?
I thought you said something about your wife.
Nope, I was talking about somebody else's way.
Love you, baby.
Love you too. All right. And, you know, the difference between most vodkas and, like, again, this vodka typically is going to be 80 proof, right? This particular one right here is 132 proof. And then the minimum that I'll usually buy bourbon, it's going to be at 100 proof. So you're talking about the difference between 40 and 50% alcohol at a minimum. So again, it's a different experience. I think that drinking vodka is a totally different. There's a totally different purpose. Wild Turkey 101, one of the best everyday drinkers in bourbon out there. You cannot beat Wild Turkey 101. Like that right there is probably Wild Turkey 101 and Old Granddad 114, two of the best everyday drinkers. And maybe if you add a benchmark in there, uh, best, like if you were just to be like at home every day and not want anything special, those are the best like bourbons out there. Those three for everyday drinkers. Wild Turkey, man, it took me a long time to get into Wild Turkey because when I was in high school, 1985, I was at a pool party. I can still remember where I'm at. And me and one of my boys got drunk on some Wild Turkey 101. And there was a pool out there, and we're throwing up in the pool off of this one Wild Turkey 101. And we're out there because Beverly Hillbillies was like a popular show back then, and we were talking about we're throwing up in the cement pond. But yeah, that was Wild Turkey 101. That is like, if you were to tell me right now, like you had X amount of dollars in your life or whatever to spend on bourbon and it would run out or whatever it is, you know, what would be the bourbon that you had to drink? Wild Turkey 101 without a doubt. What's up, Joe from Puerto Rico? Man, I'm telling you, that 101, the bet, like if you were to say price, quality, all that mixed in, like you had to like have like one thing. Like there's better stuff, but there's not better. Like the best overall bourbon is probably Wild Turkey 101, without a doubt. Like it's almost unquestionable. Now, this stuff I'm drinking here, probably better than Wild Turkey 101, but it's 132 proof. It's aged 7 years, and it's like an $80 bottle. Wild Turkey 101 is like $28. How do you feel about Gentleman's Jack? I don't. For Jack Daniels to be in my radar, it's got to be like Coy Hill, or it's got to be like it's got to be their upper end stuff. Like their, let's see, Coy Hill would be one. The stuff that's going to cost you over $100 typically. Other than that, Jack Daniels is not like really let's see. It's got to be like their single barrel stuff that you'll see out there. That's going to be in. Here's what I'll say. The easiest way to break it down without breaking it down into specific things is any Jack Daniel product over 110 proof. That's the easy way to put it because their good stuff usually starts at around that 120 mark, but 110, I'll just cut it off there. That'll be a good thing, but not their stuff that you can find every day. Like Gentleman Jack is. Pappy Van Winkle, just good luck. I don't think a Pappy Van Winkle is good. As good as the price of the bottle. Bacardi 151. That again, if you want to get tore up, that's the one to go with. That or Everclear. But again, that's more early 20s type of shit right there. I just think there's so much good stuff in that under $80 range to go to Pappy, like type stuff or Blanton's or some of that just isn't really necessary. Rare hair. You talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Everclear was a high school thing. I remember people doing that in high school, or we'd have that in like a big old punch thing or something like that. But that, once you got grown up, Everclear was kind of not the fix. All right. Joey got some Johnny Walker Blue Label. I bought that too back in like 2005. At the time, it was $180. I think Scotch is a little bit more. I think that might have been the bottle that turned me off of Scotch. As a matter of fact, that may have been the last bottle of Scotch I bought. Nope, it wasn't. My stepdad passed away in like 2015, and when I was growing up, he used to always have me make his Scotch and waters. So he used to get Johnny Walker Red, and he wanted 3 ice cubes in there, a pinch of water, and some Scotch. And I used to take that to him. So that was like our deal, our thing. And then when he passed away, I bought a bottle of Johnny Walker Red to commemorate that. Double Eagle, and there is no bottle of bourbon out there worth that much money, but that stuff that's on the secondary markets, that stuff could be $300, and then they're selling it out there like somebody has it and they're selling it, but there is no bourbon I would pay like more on a stretch. Like I don't see more than 100, but that's even too high. Let me see something. Yeah, so when you start spending that much money on bourbon, you got more money than common sense. That some of that stuff is just stupid. Because there's only so good some shit can taste, right? I mean, like I said, I've had like, people a shot of some expensive shit, and I just don't see it. Some of the cheapest shit is some of the best stuff that I've seen out there. So if somebody spent like some of the stuff you're talking about, but even let's just talk about $500. I just don't see anybody present me with a bottle of $500 bourbon that's going to be remarkably different from something that's 300 or let's say 200 or even $150. And even then, I just don't think. I think a lot of that is based on legacy. Because a lot of the times, if you see some of these people that are doing all these bourbon channels and stuff like that, they're telling you that this $200 bottle lost out to this $28 bottle of this or that. So I just don't see it. All right, so hold on. Let me read this to make sure I'm spreading the gospel. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that so whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Don't forget the 10% you got to give every Sunday on that, though. If you're going to be real, put it all out there. That 10%, that's a large part of the equation. Listen, Corona is like Kool-Aid, man. I could say, I like the taste of Corona, but, that's about it. You ain't going nowhere with it. I don't have no goatee. As a matter of fact, I just shaved. My son, he's typically rocking that Amish look. He did shave a little bit earlier today, but he's usually walking around like he's Abraham Lincoln 7 years ago. Because he'll have the beard, no mustache. Modelo, that's some good stuff. I mean, if I'm going to get beer, if you ever see it in the house, usually it's Modelo or a Corona, something like that. For some reason, who bought this non-alcoholic shit? There's non-alcoholic Guinness in the refrigerator?
Yeah.
For what? This makes no sense.
We bought that. We also had regular beer. Well, the kids came over and we had micheladas. We had regular, but then we all wanted to have more than one, and then we didn't have to worry about.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Anybody driving? And then we also had non-alcoholic Blue Moon. It was actually pretty damn good. The Blue Moon. Guinness was good too. I like Guinness though.
So my wife and them were buying non-alcoholic beer to drink at home. To me, that's like going to a strip club. ICE agents, you know what? Here's what I gotta say about ICE agents. You know what? Forget all the politics, all this shit. I'm never gonna fucking hate on somebody trying to better their life, first of all, right? Second of all, I'm definitely not gonna hate on anybody that's gonna put in more work than the average person out there. Now, I don't know what the status was, the people putting in windows in my house. I don't care. But one thing I do know is they were all Mexicans, not a white person in the fucking group, black person in the group, nothing like that. So I'm not going to hate on that shit or, whatever the beliefs are on that. Sometimes I think about business and shit like that. And, we had somebody come over to the house, and it's not all Mexican, but we had some garbage removal people come over, and I'm not at a point right now where I'm not able. I don't want to do a bunch of stuff, but a lot of the people that are people I would want to go into business with are not the people that are probably getting the best looks on Facebook. And that, the guy I was talking about in the trash removal thing, this is a black dude. Now, I just looked at him and I was like, man, this is somebody, I could see going into this business if, I don't know enough about it to go into it, but what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that if you strip out everything about it, whatever your political beliefs are, whatever, you think about people, that kind of stuff, when it all said and done, those people that are most likely to get deported are probably the ones that are the hardest working people I know out there that I don't know. To me, where you're at and how you got it, I don't really care about that because I know by all means necessary. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get wherever I gotta go. And if that included, because some motherfuckers that are against, well, the people that you hear about talking or hear talking about it a lot are just lucky that they got born out of the right pussy in the wrong continent, right? Like some motherfuckers are just lucky they got born in the right place. Now, if you took now, I'm not saying that if there was a Mexican person that was born, in wherever would have the same motivations as they do now since they're fighting uphill all the time. That's part of the thing. But a lot of people are just 60% of the people in America are just lucky to be where they're at because they were born out of the right pussy. That's it. They ain't doing nothing better than anybody else, and half the time they're fighting against somebody because they're doing it better than them. Let's just keep it real. So all this, I don't even want to get into this. I'm getting mad just thinking about it.
Yeah, you need to stop.
Let's just break it down. I like people that work hard regardless. Doesn't matter where you're at, where you come from. I understand if I came out of a different situation that I would probably do the same thing that some people are going to do. – 412, I hear you. What's up, Lyle? Man, I'm just out here chilling, just absorbing these last days of home time. Or should I say 412? I forgot I was saying that wrong the whole time. 412, I did see a video a little while ago that was kind of speaking about the topic that we were talking about on the phone on earlier. We spoke about it on the phone earlier. And I'll probably call you after this to kind of tell you my thoughts on that. Truck Trader Sam, what's going on? I'm just out here chilling, just absorbing these last days at home. And let me cover my mouth while I get into this drama. But maybe trying to get into the last few videos before this drama comes, because 412 knows what I'm talking about. If this situation comes where any of these drivers come to Prime that were getting all this hate for doing all this stupid stuff, I may have to drop out for a while. Because I don't want any stray shots coming at me. Yep.
How much longer are you gonna be?
I don't know why.
Just so you can come sit next to me on the couch and enjoy some quiet solitude.
Mm-hmm. We could have done that last night. But you were snoring. All right, anyway. Let me get off of here real quick. I appreciate you guys stopping by No Hippie Truck and Transportation. As always, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.